Dialogue at the Day of Listening, Fairfax, California, May 22nd, 1991. We cannot precisely say what this listening is, because it is not a function. It is without intention. Being free from intention also means being free from concentration. In both, we are looking for a target, looking for a result. But in listening, we are simply open, directionless. In listening, there is no grasping, no taking. All that is listened to comes to us. The relaxed brain is in a state of natural non-function, simply attentive, without any specific direction. We can never objectify listening, because that would mean to put it in the frame of space and time. It is listening to oneself. In listening to oneself, there is no outside and no inside. It is silence, presence. In this silence presence, there is a total absence of oneself as being somebody. In listening, we are not isolated. We are only isolated when we live in objects. But free from objects, we live our essence, where there is no separation. In listening, there is not a you and not another. Call it love. If the student and the teacher are one and the same, does it not mean that you are a projection from my consciousness? When the teacher does not protect himself as a teacher, then there is oneness. Only in this oneness is teaching possible. Otherwise, the teacher binds you, makes an object of you. When he makes an object of you, then you exist for his psychological survival, and no teaching is possible. Then who finds whom? The teacher frees you from discipleship. When he takes you for a disciple, no transmission is possible. When the disciple is absent, the teacher is absent. Otherwise, you remain bound to the concept disciple. It is a magical relationship. It is only in absolute silence that we can speak of communication. Otherwise, there is no communication. It is the object which hurts communication. When the student gets too much taken by the form of the teacher, is it a serious obstacle? Yes, it is a hindrance. To be free from it, keep your mind unfurnished. Then there is no representation. In love, there is no representation. As long as there is representation, you are bound to what the mind represents. Free means being free from all objects. You are no longer tied to the object. The intellect gives up when there is a clear representation that it cannot find what is beyond it. Then the intellect dissolves because it has no more role to play, and there is silence. Is that a slow development or sudden? The understanding is instantaneous. When you say, I understand, see how the understanding acts on you. In the moment of insight, you are nowhere. There is no one. There is simply understanding. But we are so accustomed to living in objects that we continually come back and make the understanding a representation. It is clearness about this that frees the mind. This clarity brings you to what you are by freeing you from what you are not. You must live with the sayings of the teacher, who constantly points to the ultimate, to the self. What exactly is an upaguru? An upaguru informs the mind, but an upaguru is not really established in knowing. There is something contradictory in it. When the mind really knows its limits, you are ready. You are available. In this availability, you are the waiting. The formulation of the upaguru is still touched by the mind. The mind has not accomplished its possibility to know, to not know. So one has not really understood what is beyond the mind. Why would an upaguru take himself for a teacher? The understanding of the truth does not immediately make one a teacher. You become a teacher when you first know yourself and then have the pedagogical quality to teach. You must know how best to present it to the disciple. Otherwise, you are not a teacher. One can be a man of truth, but to transmit the truth on the level of the mind in space and time belongs to the quality of being a teacher. How does one know a true teacher? The teacher can never bring you to what you are, because there are not two. He can only bring you to moments when you are free from objects. You know these moments, situations when you are completely absent. I would say that when you leave the teacher, you must have a taste of freedom, a feeling of freedom in you. That is most important. The teacher is free and echoes your own freedom. What remains in you is a taste, a shadow. And it is this shadow that can bring you back to its substance, its origin. The teacher must be able to go into the deep conditioning of the disciple and proceed to teach according to this knowing of the deep conditioning of the disciple. The pedagogy is not the same for everyone. Does this require some familiarity between teacher and disciple? I think so. And also right observation on the part of the teacher. What are the qualifications of a student? When you have discovered the teacher, or rather when the teacher has discovered you, live really with the sayings of the teacher. Do not be dispersed. Really live the sayings without touching them, without interfering with memory, without forcing the teaching. Simply live. Really live with the question. The question brings you to the answer because the question is the answer and the answer is the question. They are not two. Since I have met you and started to understand your teaching, I've sensed your teaching in nature and in other people. Is there any danger in looking for the same teaching in other places? You must be able to give all your heart to the teaching, the understanding, and you must be able to see how the understanding acts on you. The understanding must free you from non-understanding. It is a kind of feeling sensation you can find in your body. You don't know where the feeling begins and where the sensation begins. Does the teaching sometimes have to go underground? Sometimes the teaching is vivid, sometimes it fades, then surfaces again. You must not take the teaching with intention. Let it come to you. There will be moments in your life when you spontaneously don't go into any intellectual formulation. In any case, you can never go to what you are. All you can do is to be ready to receive it, to welcome it. You can never say, I have it, because there is no one to have it. In a certain way, all that you do refers to the ultimate, because you can never really understand one object through another object. An object can never be totally understood by reference to another object. This is the limitation of scientific thinking. An object is always a fraction. You can only understand the object when it refers to its ultimate subject, silence. So let the object become sacred, and then it refers to silence. Would you say only one thing exists? It doesn't exist. It is. So when we use words that imply more than one thing, those words don't exist. We use words, but before thinking, before doing, there is silence. And after thinking, after doing, there is silence. All that appears, appears in silence. All that appears in silence is of the same nature as silence. They are not two. All that is perceived by consciousness in consciousness. If all that we think and do did not refer to the ultimate, we would not have music, poetry, paintings, sculpture, and so on. There is music to glorify the ultimate, poetry to glorify the ultimate, painting to glorify the ultimate, and so on. There is music that comes from the ultimate. The glorified and the glorifier are the same.